fix my hair. Awesome.
Welcome to another episode of Candid Moments. Today, I'm so excited to introduce my guest today. She's a musician and a local recording artist, as well as a TEDx speaker. Please help me welcome Angie Nussey to the microphone. Hi, Angie.
Hi. I just realized you might not hear my microphone very well. I don't have my setup like yours today. Sorry about that.
No, that's okay. I can hear you just fine.
Okay, good.
I have not seen you. The last time I saw you in person was the Yes I Can conference in Sudbury. No,
Okay.
I feel Yes I Can. No, it was the Feel Good.
I want to feel good.
I want to feel good conference. And you performed there. And we had spoken over Messenger a couple years ago, but I wanted to connect. What are three things that you're grateful for today?
I love that. Well, that's funny. Sorry, just to touch on that. It must have been the I Want to Feel Good conference, and that has come up three times this week. That conference, and it must be calling to be spoken about again. So that's kind of fun. So how about my first grateful thing would be um, I that conference, meeting all these great people and great friends.
Yeah.
So I'll have a moment of gratitude for that. I think my second today is I'm really grateful for all of these leaders who have risen up and spoken out about the power of attraction and the and our own ability to generate good feelings within. And I've just seen some things manifest this week that have just been extraordinary, and I feel like if it weren't for these people kind of pushing us to find it within ourselves to feel better and feel good, then I don't know where I would be right now, because I never knew anything about that until I was around 27. So I'm just glad to have access to that. And my third, I don't know. I have a hot chocolate. I'm really glad for food and health and good things to drink, and things like simple things.
Oh, I love that. Oh, that's beautiful. Okay, so it's my turn.
Yeah.
I I'm grateful for talking to mom this morning on the phone. That woman is my soul sister. I talk to her every morning. We have coffee on the phone. Uh, I couldn't so on okay, that's a different story. And um I'm grateful for the fact that despite chronic pain, I'm able to thrive.
Oh,
And for me, that's going to actually bring me along to my next journey. So, which I'm grateful for opportunities and big dreams.
I love that. I love that. And I spoke to my mom this morning too, and good moms are hard to find. Well, I shouldn't say that. I mean, whatever they can do as a mother is good, but I
Mamas are great.
they are they are and they stay with you. And I do know a lot of your story because my mom has your book. And so
Yeah,
I was reading her book at one point, reading your book at one point, and what a phenomenal story you do have. And
thank
you're
you.
just a true inspiration. So,
Thank you, Angie. I also have your mom's book. I think I have both of them because I met your mom way long time ago in Toastmasters, many years ago, which connected us. And it's so nice how so many of us can be connected through a different program or a different like a network. It's really important to connect with people.
yeah.
So I was looking at your website and it looks very different now.
Yeah.
Tell me about what's your new project that you're working on?
Oh, thanks. The beauty about being a musician is you can rebrand with every new album.
Right.
Like you can, if you had colors of your brand, you can change all the colors to match your new album, which is what I love about the business in general. But yeah, I had started an album called I Have No Idea What I'm Doing, and I that was the working title. And I was just working on songs that I liked, and it took 2 years, so I was just gradually doing it, and then eventually it got finished, and while it was getting finished, like I noticed I had written a lot of stories and a lot of things around each song, and so I started to like edit those stories out of my own journals, and then I had a friend, my friend Lise LeBlanc, who's another author. She started editing you might know her, but she started editing my
I
material. You do?
I had her on the Mo Monday stage, and I think it was December of 2019. Yeah,
Yeah,
she has an incredible story too, and that was before she published, I believe.
yeah, well then you must have been. She's published 9 books since, like in the past, very recently.
Right.
She's from Sudbury too. I'm so proud of her. But yeah, she's helped me edit mine because we're really close friends, and so now I have this album that came out about a year ago, and uh, but I've been releasing every song each month, and then releasing the story that goes with each song. So this it's almost done, and I'll have a book next year to go with the album. So yeah, it's just
A,
been fun.
a book of stories.
A book of stories that go with songs. I
I
love.
love it. I saw the that one song, like each song of yours touches me in a special way.
Hmm.
But I which one I came across the one called Tell Me a Story.
Oh.
So tell me a story, Angie. How did tell me a story? What inspired that?
Oh, let me tell you that story because I was at a conference, and it was a leadership conference with all these sort of high level executives. And I was the musician, so I thought I could get away with not partaking in all the like circle work and the more deeper therapeutic parts. But the leader was Matt Thorpe. He was leading the group, and he's another Northern Ontario guy,
Yeah.
and he was insistent that I partake in everything. So I'm sitting in this big circle, and I'm just kind of watching, and everybody's sort of sharing their stuff, but it wasn't very deep at the time. And there was one woman, and she was like the head of a large organization, and I was judging her. I was judging and judging and judging. She was tall, she was blonde and powerful and confident, and she just seemed to have this like crunchiness around, her employees, how to improve her life and everything. And then finally with Matt, and Lise was there as well, and Lise was working as a therapist as well, and they finally sort of opened up the space for this woman to tell her real story. And the story was just like heartbreaking from start to finish, and it wasn't over. It was like her childhood was hard, but then her current situation at the time was like basically unbearable, and everybody just opened their hearts to this woman, and it really was one of those experiences where you see that um, the behavior of someone doesn't represent what's going on. In fact, often the worst behaved person is having the worst experience at the time, and that's, I think it just builds up your compassion when you start to see, if only we were more truthful about our circumstances, everyone would open their hearts more too, but it's
Right.
it's kind of one of those things. You have to make space for someone to be comfortable enough to share, and so it creates this weird dynamic, almost of untruth, a dishonesty, when someone's uh, in a bad place, and they're not telling you their backstory or why they're there. So
And
yeah,
that's what Tell Me a Story is all about.
yeah,
Wow. So oftentimes we hide in the shadows of our pain.
yeah.
And pain inspires me. My pain is inspiring me for my next project. And this
Yeah.
decision just happened like a week ago. But I think that pain is universal, not the like X pain, just pain in general.
Yeah,
Um, does pain or struggle or strife inspire your music?
it does. And
Okay.
uh and I have a lot of songs that are written um just for me. Like when my sister was sick and she was just about to pass away, I was really creative in writing and I wrote whenever I felt like it. But I've learned to be really careful around. I think musicians, a lot of the time we get stuck in the momentum of trying to finish something. So so especially if you're writing a song, like if I'm writing a song and I'm in a really deep state of emotional pain and I'm releasing that pain, that's wonderful, and I that's fine to write that song. But if that pain starts to lift and I'm able to and I have the option to sort of step into a new frequency, I find it really dangerous for me if I'm trying to finish the song, because I could spend 4 more hours holding on to that pain when I actually don't need to or want to. So I've learned to be really careful about my songwriting, and there's a lot of unfinished songs, and I don't beat myself up about it because I try to make sure that I trust myself more than I trust my ambitions.
Okay. Does that intuition have to do with trusting yourself or your ambition?
I think so. I think the intuition is when you know that you can, your soul is always trying to get you to feel joy, I think
Yeah.
you're and we can never feel it for too long because that's part of human experiences, to like sway
Right.
back and forth, which is what I can see for you too. If your dharmic path is to have this experience, and so you end up helping all these other people along the way because your momentum swings you into projects. You're in pain, so you need to work on things. You need to do things with that.
And it
And
makes me dizzy.
all the what do you mean?
Sway. Like
The
the
oh, for sure. Yeah. I just was writing this article on Rita McNeil because there's a song on the album about Rita McNeil, and I like that woman had a really rough life, a really tough life, and because I wondered, she made like 24 albums and she got 3 honorary degrees from universities. She just never stopped, and I think that some people's path is to just um, they're just, in order to not compensate but adjust to their constant swaying, they
yeah.
just keep propelling themselves into different experiences so that they can um, keep uh, keep from falling into too deep of a sadness, right? I think like, what do you think it would happen if you didn't have projects or
No, you need projects. I just made this huge decision to bring my business to the next level. And if I didn't, you know what I would be doing, Angie? I
what?
would be in fear and I would sit with my pain and I would friggin' swear and I would say, you know what? Frick this life. I have nothing to live for. But there's inspiration everywhere.
Yeah.
Like you can't tell me that there's not one person in your community that you want to be like. There's not someone that inspires you to push forward. Those people that spark joy and inspiration in you, you need to hang around with those people. You need to reach out to them. If you're in a dark, dark place where you feel like okay, I'm speaking for myself, where the doctor is tightening your screws, you
Mhm.
need to just reach out to people and pick up another project. And that dream, the last big dream that you accomplished, the last hit song that you wrote, you have to make your next dream better than the last. And I think
Mhm.
that our energy needs to be focused on that. And I think you know what I mean.
I do. I do. And I appreciate that for sure. I really like you saying the next big dream has to be better than your last. And I do think I go back, one of my favorite albums is Still Hope, which was before the one that I have now. But it's not better. And I do think, as I know, the one experience that I find myself in lately is being really observant to the process of your dreams coming true. Like, just
Okay.
that's the one thing that I really cherish these days. I'm really grateful that it's come to that point where, as you're doing your things, you're kind of conscious, like, oh, I'm just doing this other thing again. It's not all consuming. There's a joy in the doing.
Right, in the process.
Yeah.
And I don't see, it's interesting to know from the one who wrote the album. I can't say it's better or it's not than the previous album, because I love all your albums. I I'm touched by each song. I think that each album and each song shows the growth as an artist and you as a woman in your journey of life.
Well, I appreciate you saying that, and that's how I feel too.
Oh,
I, I,
good.
I love. I don't apologize for the past, and I, yeah. There's a lot of angry songs on my earlier albums, and that's who I was. So that's who someone else is. So whatever resonates. I think music is like if it would be a holistic healing type of thing where you
Yes.
you wait until you resonate with the vibration of the music. So if you need to listen to Metallica all day, it's because you're trying to heal. You're trying to get to that vibration where your anger is matched by something else. You see it mirrored, and then you can change if you want. But I do think it's part of our journey to honor everything that we've done and everything we're doing, and yeah, trust that it had to be at that time. Mhm.
It has to, yeah, I can relate to that. Each process, sorry, each part of our life, we're evolving. And a few years ago, I was going through massive anxiety and I didn't know how to get through. It was but I'm good now. I
Yeah.
forget where I was going with that point. Um
Oh, I think it's about. I think we're saying to honor where you're at. I
gro-
think that's what you're saying.
growing pains.
Growing pains. Yes.
Yes, that
Yes.
was the, sorry, that sometimes it takes me a little longer to go around the track and
That's
come back.
that's okay. Yeah. Growing
And,
pains.
and who cannot relate to growing pains in each
Yeah.
stage of our life?
Yeah. And and if only we didn't beat ourselves up when we're growing. That would be, if only we could just know we're growing and be really excited about how we feel and how uncomfortable we are. And it's like, if you're going to the gym and you're really uncomfortable lifting your weights, you're like, yeah, my muscles are tearing and I'm making more muscle. But if you're in your life and you're going through things that are similar to lifting weights, we have this double whammy, as far as like we beat ourselves up for
Right.
feeling the way we do sometimes. Yeah.
But I think that that's part of the learning process. We don't get to that, like you were saying earlier about the process that we're in, and that you wouldn't have learned to, what was it? Like to get to that point in your life.
Yeah. I I can't remember what I said either, but I
No,
do
me
think
neither.
that's awesome. Happy Monday morning.
Yes, it is Monday morning.
No, I do think it's like one of those things, you can't build a step without the step below, and you're kind of always using the steps below, which is, I think, kind of where it feels like a theme today.
It
Um,
does.
yeah, I
And I
like
think
it.
people, I like it too, the steps. And we have to build those steps in order to get to these next big projects and dreams. And and releasing hits and books and
Yeah. Oh my goodness, you just gave me an idea for a song. You can't build your life on a Jenga platform or something. Like you know how Jengas
yeah,
always what sometimes we do,
you
but
should totally write that down.
you're right. I will when we're through.
Do you have your guitar with you?
I do not. My house is in a total uproar. Uh, so I don't want to show you anything.
That's okay.
Yeah, I just had a really interesting manifestation this weekend, and it all happened at once. Like, so I've moved my studio into the basement, and it's just our house is in a big disarray. But sorry.
That's okay. No, because I was gonna ask if you take any requests.
Oh, what did you have a request?
All your courage.
Oh my goodness.
I'm
Yes.
in love with that song.
Oh, I'm so glad. I love that
Oh,
song too.
oh, you touch like every fiber in my being with that song.
Oh, thanks.
You're
Um,
welcome. It's wow. When did you write that and what inspired it?
um, I wrote it a few years ago, um, and I was just trying to make a decision, and I kept on having this visual uh, of how it's if I make this decision, I know I'm going to burn a bridge. So, and I know I can't go back. And sort of reviewing all, like at that time, I was reviewing all the decisions I've made and all how many times I've burnt a bridge. And I just started to feel like, well, you need courage then. I just got to find it in myself to trust that I can't see the future. I don't know what's on the other side of this, but I know what I need to do with this. Like I know in my heart I have to let this go. So that's the idea. You know, you're the one who poured down the kerosene, you lit the match, you burnt the bridge. You have to walk forward into the dark and but it's just going to take all your courage to do it.
Oh, oh, that's so oh, I want to hear the song. I was listening to it earlier and
Oh,
there's if you go on your website, Angie Nussey, is it .com?
that's right.
Okay, .com. You can hear all of your newest the stories and the songs. Quiet Room was another one
Mm.
that oh wow, what happened there?
Quiet Room was written when I was in my 20s. That was the beginning of the really big 27-year-old shift, which I think happens to a lot of people. But yeah, Quiet Room was around being able to sit still and listen. And so that's kind of how it started. I was just playing guitar and it just kind of you know, if you listen in a quiet room, you can hear it calling out to you. And kind of after I had been through a breakdown at that point, and I had had my bathroom floor moment. And if you're lucky enough to have your bathroom floor moment, um, you realize that there's something bigger than you that lifts you up at some point. You get off that floor,
Oh,
and if you're lucky enough to not have anyone save you, and you get up on your own, you're suddenly you're a new person. You've got more power than you ever imagined. So that's where it came
wow.
from.
Man, that's powerful. Ah, some people yeah, see, I'm picking up what you're putting down right now. I definitely am. I've had more than one bathroom floor moment. So
Oh,
yes, I
totally.
get what Angie's saying right now. But
Yeah.
for the people who haven't had those, they're not lucky enough to have those. Why do you say lucky enough to have it? It's about the lesson, right?
I do think that there's a certain amount of it just must be how what is our current evolution, you know? But sorry, that's a babble in the wrong direction here. I think that if you're able to have an independence, even if it's momentary, where you can really trust your your own self to get yourself off the floor, you just tap into this power that you didn't understand. And I do think our relationships sometimes can be a challenge because we have these. I was thinking of your mom and my mom.
Yeah.
In my breakdown experience, I had to let go of my mom a little bit. I had to let go of the dependency because I knew there was some kind of calling to how what where am I without all this, and what else do I have? So I often say, like, if anything happens to me, I'm taking my joy with me. Like, if you send me into an isolation chamber, I know I'll struggle, but I'm taking my joy with me. You can't, that comes with me. That's my spirit side that I think I think anybody who even gets a tiny glimpse of that, which we all will eventually, it changes your life.
Oh, and in such a pivotal way.
Yeah, I do think, like, for you, you've had physical pain and you've had emotional pain of, like, extremes, like such an intense level that even probably with when you're around other people, when you're in physical pain and you're around other people, it is like being in an isolation chamber. Like, and the only way you can work through it, I'm imagining, I'm putting words in your mouth, but
That's okay.
okay, but I feel like the only way you work through that is by tapping into whatever you have inside of you, because to be silenced when you're in agony is a really lonely way to be. Like, I'm assuming,
It
but
is.
I
Oh my
have
God.
yeah.
It is. I just had like an on October 22nd, it was 3 weeks ago. I had like I met God, and he's also known as Dr. Kettle.
Okay, Dr. Kettle.
Kettle, he's the reconstructive surgeon here in town. Um, oh my God. I haven't I gave him a copy of my book. I had two things. I said, first, I don't know if you remember me, but you had done this massive surgery and you saved my life. Thank you. And I gave him the book and I wrote this beautiful thank you in it. And he said it was nice to be appreciated. And I said, I'm not wasting your time. I just wanted to thank you. And second of all, I came here for pain. And he said, if you came here to see me for pain, I'm not your guy. You need to see a pain specialist. So I was like, well, what do you mean you're not my guy? You're like God to me. What, give me answers. But I feel, Angie, when you say it must feel very lonely being in pain, he said that that surgery was the biggest one he'd ever performed. This was 20 years ago. So there's not one person out of 165,000 people in the city that can relate to my pain.
Wow.
So I'm kind of thinking, like, I don't want to put like a negative, like, okay, the pain program that I'm in and reading this 400-page book about holistic things and whatever.
Oh my goodness.
I'm excited about it. It's going to be my new Bible. But at the same time, I'm thinking, are these therapists going to be able to relate? If they've done their studies, are they going to be able to help me in any way? So there I feel alone. So I feel like I need to teach them. So when they say, do you have any questions? Well, obviously the former Toastmaster comes out of me and I say, no, but I have some feedback.
That's awesome.
And I say, well, when you're dealing with a patient with this kind of pain, you need to look at it in a different perspective. So yeah, I'm gonna write my own book on pain.
I totally just felt it in my heart. Like, that's your journey. It's that is exactly why you have to have this experience so you can help other people. You
Yes.
know, part of the reason that these fabulous doctors are able to um, concentrate their work is because they haven't had exactly what you've had. That's their benefit. But what I really see now is this I'm really starting to see synchronicities around everybody's job. If everybody has a job, and not like that work job, like, and it's all based on our experience. So for me, as a, like, nature lover, um I I want to preserve the environment. I want to save uh, like the animals and everything. And ironically, my biggest ally in this are the hunters. And I'm a vegan. I eat well. I'm a vegetarian. But
Okay.
ironically, the most important people for my cause of trying to save the environment is our hunters. And so I just see this like uh, I see all these connections all the time where you have doctors, they have a lot of information and they've had a lot of time to research, and then you have a patient who has an equal amount of wisdom and knowledge and understanding, and to bring that all together is the key, I think, because I don't think you can heal with all kinds of rules and lists and laws and medications and everything else. You need this other entire component um, of compassion and sensitivity
Yes.
and just like yeah, just honoring it, honoring your pain like a whole other person in the room. That's how I
Hmm.
see it. Mm.
That lady, like Pain, is she's loud sometimes, and I have to tell her to shut up. Like I'm interviewing right now. We are in a meeting. Like she needs to just shut up sometimes, right? So I don't know. She's loud. We're trying to tame her. But
Oh,
everybody, I have a really good friend of mine. She's my mentor in Toastmasters and in life. She's my life friend, Madeline. She
mm,
talks about anxiety being a dragon. So she says you have to tame your dragon.
yeah, I
And I
like
think
that.
that's a good metaphor too for anxiety or for pain. And we're all on a journey, right?
Yeah,
Of whether it's healing or self improvement or
yeah.
teaching others. Like I think that even though you're not a Toastmaster, but your mom is, touch, move, and inspire. I think that's what you do through your music.
Well, thanks. I have two thoughts on that.
Okay.
One is I was a Toastmaster for a while. I got,
Okay.
but in Toronto, when I lived there, because I struggled to speak in public at the time, I was struggling to speak. Um, and the other was, oh, I wanted to share with you is I have anxiety, and we call her Star. So my
Okay.
so we say Star, so, oh, Star is here this week, and she's just really worked up, and I know I you know, and I'll tell my partner, I'm sorry, I can't concentrate that well because Star is here visiting, and we call her Star because she's she struggles with it's pre-performance anxiety usually, and
Okay.
and so so Star has all these insecurities, and it's fun to like just be kind to that dragon or star, or they exist too, and they're trying to be heard and they're trying to be seen. So
Right. Why did you call her Star?
uh because she's egoic, she wants to be a
Okay.
star, uh and she's insecure because when you want to be a star, that's usually generated because you need attention, you want respect, you want all these things that you can never get really, you and
I feel
so
you.
yeah, like, it's and they're so unrewarding as well.
Oh my God.
It's like you hear all these big stars saying like it is the worst thing to be a star, and yet we're like, oh no, I'll be fine, I would be fine.
Yeah, I can handle it. See, that's something else. So if we make it big, like I mean big, like you sell out like a billion records or
Yeah.
something. How do you know how you would handle success, or are you afraid of it?
Oh, I love that question, Candace, and I am very afraid of it. Star is very afraid of it.
Okay, not Angie.
Angie loves life. Angie is
I
the
know.
funnest person in the world, but Star doesn't like it at all. And in truth, I feel like I've had the opportunity to have a lot of fame, and the one time I didn't sign the contract. The contract had been a 3 month experience where I was in the States. I was back and forth. Um, uh, Getting ready for this big ordeal, And then when I went to sign the contract, I couldn't sign it. And then there have been another couple of moments in life where I clearly had that opportunity. Like I really saw it coming, and then I didn't want it again. And I believe that my journey is not about achieving fame. I there's no sense in me achieving fame if it's only star in the position. Like I want my soul to be with me everywhere, and when if I'm too much in momentum of ego, it just makes me kind of sick physically, and it just takes all my presence away. So I kind of miss everything. Like I can remember playing a big stage and having this really just having this one glimpse of like, oh my goodness, I'm taking this entire thing for granted. I've dreamed of being on this stage, and here I am, just angry at this and angry at that and upset and not being present, and I just couldn't absorb the world. So um so yeah, I am afraid because I don't want to go without my soul.
What's your soul's name? Is it Angie?
Oh, I'm not sure because it's not a girl or a guy. So I don't know. I definitely feel like I would call it cloud maybe.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think your soul shines bright like a star, but we're not talking about ego or anxiety.
Whoa. Let's change the name. We'll call Star Cloud, and we'll call soul part Star. Maybe it's time for change.
Time for change.
Yeah. I like that.
I hear a song.
The Star
Writing.
Cloud change. That's great.
Interesting. Wow. So when is like this new record is out, like this new album?
It is out. Yeah. Uh, it's yeah. You can. It's funny. CDs are funny. They don't sell as much the physical copies, which is really good for the trees and really good for the
Yeah.
environment. So I don't complain about that. But yeah, it's been out for a while, and um, I'm loving it. And I have another group that I play with right now. I'm really focused on them. They're called Boreal. So Boreal will be on tour in December. So we're starting to get on to preparing for that.
Wow. So in regards to COVID, like can you tour now and perform
I
live?
know. It's just well, everything kind of just opened up, right?
Right.
So that we had booked, and it's not a big tour. It's like 5 shows, and they're mainly Southern Ontario, but
Okay.
we booked them with the caveat that if it gets canceled, if it, we just said let's settle in with a plan, and then God knows people know how to cancel things now. We know how to let things go, which is really cool about COVID. Like we've really learned how to just okay, change course.
We
Okay, let go.
we've learned how to pivot.
I know. I try not to use the words because it's been such a popular word, but it is the right word, right?
It is. That's actually the Power to Pivot conference with Tony Robbins and Dean Graciosi last fall was the reason why I bought a microphone and that I'm interviewing exceptional people with exceptional stories. So yes,
Ah,
yeah. So yes, I've learned how to pivot, and then so has everybody else. Not
well,
news.
well, yeah, it's a skill that is going to be handy no matter what. It's handy all the time. So, but that's how we were able to book the tour. We just booked it with a caveat on our contract, or a little note on our contract. If you need to cancel, you cancel, and it's so much easier for people to book because they're not afraid to lose money or all that, all the business side of things. So.
Right. Wow. So are you writing in the meantime?
I have been, but not a lot. This summer I write in little clumps. So I do have an album almost ready, like another album almost ready. But yeah, I'm not sure. I have a novel that I want to work on as well. So
Oh,
and a screenplay that I've been I've had almost finished for a couple of years. I like writing no matter what it is. Just creating. I like starting somewhere and like spending an hour on something, and by the time you're done, you've got something. It's almost like building a house. Like it's creating any kind
Yeah,
of
and
creative.
you've always been a creative, right?
I I think I have. I think we all are, but
Yeah.
we're just not always given a piano, or you're not given clay or some paintbrushes, so you don't know until. And even now, I sometimes I think my next evolution or my next creative endeavors will be art, like visual art.
Okay.
Um, but it'll be terrible, but that doesn't matter.
That's okay. That's the beauty in it. That's what art is all about. It's expression.
Exactly. Yeah.
Oh,
And
interesting. So you will be releasing your art at, I wonder how will that go, like at galleries or at different functions in town?
Oh, truthfully, Candace, I don't see any of that. Like I just see like creating, and not I haven't really thought of any other steps afterwards. But
Okay, well, that's
yeah.
okay. It starts with the first step, right?
The first.
Oh, I like how that came full circle.
Me too. Me too. Yeah.
This has been such a pleasure connecting with you, Angie.
Thank you. I feel like I want to interview you now, and I will one day for but
Awesome. Well, we'll connect our schedules and I would totally love to be the interviewee.
yeah, well, thank you so much for having me, and I wish you luck with your your focus and your next journeys.
Oh, thank you so much and good luck to you, Angie.
Okay, have a good day.
Thanks, you too, Angie Nussey, everybody.